right, welcome, good fighters. Coming to you live with a lot of connection, intention, and purpose. Three legs of the Great Stool of the Good Fighters podcast here. Coming to you live, Dr. Nash, the art dealer, Dr. Gates, the art thief, and an amazing guest, true friend of mine, Dr. Nicholas Lim. Coming to us live from the other side of the planet, Dr. Nick Lim. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy week and your Sunday night for you to spend some time with us, talking to the other good fighters about what you got going on. So a little bit about me, history between me and Nick, and Gates as well. I mean, we were classmates going through chiropractic school at Palmer. And Nick was one of my closest friends, still is one of my closest friends. Without Nick, I don't even know where I'd be, man. Shoot, it's hard for me to really put into words the love and appreciation I have for this guy. Nick really is one of the first people that helped guide me towards the actualization of my path. So before I was kind of wandering around without a GPS, and Nick kind of like helped me hone in on like the destination of my GPS. So before I was just out there just aimlessly wandering around trying to find, I didn't know where my destination was. I knew I was, I had my GPS on, but I didn't know where I was going. And Nick was one of the first people to really help me understand where my destination was. So it really helped me efficiently get to where I wanted to go. And he introduced me to MLS Club, and just that really opened my world to a whole nother side of not just chiropractic, but who I am. And I've just got nothing but appreciation for you, brother. So if you want to kind of let the listeners and viewers probably are watching a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Nash, for such a, very honored for such a, great introduction. And thank you, Dr. Gates, as well. It's my honor and pleasure, although it's on a Sunday night, but, this is things that fire me up. I get up every day to know what I do, to turn up and change the world just by the little adjustment that we give. And it's something that although it may sound little, but it's the little bit, and that's what will make it the big idea. And we're all, and the great thing about chiropractic is there's chiropractors all around the world. So at every minute, even though we are in the North Pole or South Pole or what, somebody is giving that adjustment, and that's changing the vibration in this planet.
That's really cool. I never even thought about that. That's sick.
Yep.
One person at a time.
So when you guys are sleeping, we're working, and when we are sleeping, and vice versa. So somebody's always doing the job, no matter which continent you are. And it's amazing how chiropractic has spread throughout the world. It's, I think in Singapore right now, I think we had the first chiropractor that came to Singapore in the 70s. It's an American woman. And she's retired, but now we're continuing. And guess what? I think we're at like 100 over chiropractors right here in Singapore. So
wow, man,
just like a
you're
small
one of 100. That is incredible. Does that feel?
Yep.
How's that transition been? Because like obviously being at Palmer, you're in a space where you went from the most chiropractors per capita in Davenport to arguably one of maybe the closer to the least in Singapore, where there's not as many chiropractors. What's that been like? Because Nash and I talk about all the time. We're like, man, we feel like we're crazy. Some of the stuff like we talk about, because we're just on a different mentality health wise. So what's that kind of journey been like?
I mean, the thing is, of course we started off with a lot of like foreign chiropractors working here.
Yeah.
But then more and more, I think 1996 we had our first chiropractor that went to Palmer, and since then there are more and more Singaporeans that are studying chiropractic every year, and bringing back the simple message that's nothing complicated. It's just, and I think at the end of the day, no matter where you are, it's just to keep it simple. That's you know, this to be simple is to be complicated.
Yeah. One thing that, at least I know that has really changed my perspective on what I can do for people is how I can make it simple for helping people understand, right?
Yep.
I mean, empowering them in a simple message is so crucial because nobody wants to feel confused or feel stupid or feel like they haven't had they've been like either doing something wrong their whole life or they felt like they've been making mistakes not with themselves but also their family members, and nobody likes to feel that way, and that's not doesn't help our situation any better when we make people feel that way. So really keeping it simple is so huge. It's such a important lesson because we have so much knowledge. It's really easy just to lean into like, oh, here's why you should feel this way about what all is going on, and just like once people really start feeling that way, sometimes some people appreciate that, but not everybody. And I feel like a lot of people, when they start hearing like the really heavy science of it, they almost get turned off, or they just feel like, oh, this guy's really trying to make me feel stupid, or make me feel like I'm been doing something wrong for yada yada yada. And same thing goes with like internet arguments and stuff. Nobody ever changes their mind when you get to those polarizing conversations when somebody's trying to tell somebody else about what they're doing wrong or whatever. So keeping it simple, that's awesome.
Definitely, simplicity is chiropractic. Chiropractic is simplicity.
It's a big idea.
It allows for so much more growth too when you have that. Because if you're keeping it simple, instead of the more you try to add in, the more you try to do, the more complex it gets, and you'll never grow to the same.
Yeah,
magnitude.
when I was in school, I used to think that the adjustments comes from me and everything, but now I really understand, like at least to a deeper level, like how chiropractic comes through me rather than from me, and I think that's very important. And that's to me, was so going to practice is something that as a student is very difficult to understand, but then going to practice helps you to understand some of these concepts in a more simple way as well.
Dude, I was just having this thought the other day. I mean, BJ talks about it a lot especially with HIO, right? The hole in one, and what it really is adjustment isn't coming from us because the whole concept of toggle is literally innate accepting a force and then using that force to create its own adjustment, right? So literally that's
Yeah.
what adjustments are. They're coming through us, but it's really more an acceptance from the person on the table for the adjustment, right? And then they make the use of that force, or innate makes use of that force for them.
And the more in practice, I realize there's no rules. Like it sounds crazy, but I can tell you because I've sent patient out for X-ray, and then I looked at it, and I think it's the right side. But then when I asked the patient to lay, he lay on the left side, and I did the complete opposite, and guess what? Tomorrow he says, "What do you do?" Like 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 my years of pain is gone, and I was like, okay, so maybe that's like not coincidental. It's like there's a reason. Although you can do all this mechanistic way, and you do this, draw these lines, and you think it's that side, but then the patient, when he lies down, he wants to lie on that side because the body is asking help from that side, and you just trust. You just do, although your very scientific mind is like, no, I'm gonna do wrong, and I was like, because, and then you just do the opposite side and just don't expect any result, and then tomorrow you got a text. I got a text on like WhatsApp, and then he's like, yeah, I'm cool. I was like, I don't know what you do.
That's the beauty of the art. Nash and I talk a lot about too. Is just like you said, your scientific mind will be like, well, what the heck, and then having the ability to still have your art, even though it's maybe not what you had anticipated, and deliver. And their body accepted the force, accepted the change, the adaptation. And I think that's so crucial here because we talk about all the time, just like never being stuck in one pattern of adjusting, never being stuck in one, even just one bone. Well, not just one bone, but like, where you're talking about how you're being as specific as you can, but also reading the person's body and being creative with that. Because I know we've all been to chiropractors where it's like either flying 7 or same cracks every time, same pattern every time. And we need to do better by variable. And you're somebody who I think really embodies the spirit of chiropractic in that sense of like, dude, like you have been all over the world and learned all kinds of Lord knows what healing techniques, but your embodiment of chiropractic is just awesome to see. You know, from time in school and everything like that. It was really cool to always talk to you about your progress and your process from where you've been and where you hope to take chiropractic. So that's just one thing that I really appreciated about you in school.
Yeah, I know when I was in school, I was a little frustrated too because I was like, oh, there's so many techniques, there. But then one technique that really resonated with me was when I studied the zone technique,
Yeah.
and the thing I still remember, the founder of zone technique, Dr. Peter Goldman, he said, it doesn't matter, how you adjust, but it's more important you learn healing principles. And this healing principles is what's going to heal. It's not the adjustment. And I was like, and so because you can do any adjustment, but then if you add in the healing principle into the adjustment, that's what does the healing.
That's that intention we always talk about here. What's your intention? Is it just to pop a bone, or is your intention based on principles? For sure.
Because I mean, you can look, 2 person do exactly the same adjustment. One person can have a result, and one person don't have results. So what's the difference? So and this is something that cannot be taught in any books. You cannot learn from anything. It just grows with you, comes with you with time, and it's a journey. We're still learning. Every day. I'm sure the three of us, we're still always grinding, always learning, always trying to be the best version of ourselves. And it's just, once you think you got it, and then you after that, you say, actually there's more, and then that you have the Dunker-Kruger effect, which is basically you never hit mastery. It's always the path towards that mastery.
Yeah, no destination, right?
Referenced that the other day.
What's up?
Didn't you just reference that the other day?
I didn't reference.
Dude, I keep hearing exactly. That. I don't know where I read that,
but the concept is, I love it. I mean, you're just constantly. I mean, it sounds kind of. I mean, hey, we're constantly moving the goalposts back on that destination of like, mastery, right, or whatever you want to call, working on yourself or trying to improve whatever you're doing. You don't have to be a chiropractor. You can be, you can be a dishwasher, right? I said that before, but as long as you're on a path towards never feeling like you're done learning and always just trying to improve on whatever you have going on, it's always going to be for the benefit of not just you, not just your family, but everybody else around you and the world in general. Because if we're all working on being better, how does the world not, reflect?
Yeah, I mean, it's all. I mean, B.J. Bomber say, and I paraphrase, say, when love and skill come together, you create a masterpiece. So that's.
There's a question that I always like to have any guests that we have on here, because we talked a lot about basically the evolution of who we've become up until this point. And I always love hearing people's story on, is there a time when you can pinpoint through your many years of wisdom to where you're like, this is a point where, the pendulum kind of swung the other way, where it kind of clicked, where you're like, this is what I was made to do. This is what I'm going to do. And you set forth that path and you started trailblazing. Was there that evolutionary point where you kind of, everything just clicked and you just were all speed ahead?
Yeah, I mean, so in my life, I had many U-turns, in life. Like, I learned many different things, and some of the things I thought I would never use it again. And it seems that, when I opened my practice, it seems that a lot of those skills came back. And I used to question why I go and spend all this kind of money going learning. But then it's like, it reminds me of the story of Steve Jobs. he used to reference how he would go to this art class and go to all these classes, and then later on he says that because he went to that class, now it's part of the Mac. So but so everything happens for a reason. Like, and definitely my journey is like 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 I worked as a medical sales rep for a year, and definitely that helped me definitely to kickstart the practice, because being opening was really difficult. Like it was a lot of challenge, and I didn't know if I could make it. Yeah, to be honest,
Yeah.
there's a lot of uncertainty, and but knowing and just trusting that the process, and just kept me going, and up to today, I'm at a place that I'm safely going to say that I'm more and more certain that I can do this every day. Just waiting up from bed, and I know that I'm going to do what I need to do, and this, because this adjustment, little by little, it's going to change the whole vibration of this country, and it's going to change the whole vibration of this world.
Mm.
Awesome.
Like
little by little.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like eventually, hopefully, not hopefully, eventually reach this cascade event, right? That where we have enough people embodying not just chiropractic but healing principles, that it just ends up being an avalanche once we reach this tipping point, to where we reach enough people and enough people around us have that change of vibration, that the others around them are just really like, wow, this is actually truly something different. Or people really just subconsciously start to adopt the same mentalities too, to where we're all healing, right? So
Yep. I mean, because society today, it's all about pain. It's all about all this kind of how they feel, but not how they heal.
yeah.
It's always teaching us how to survive but not thrive, and so, like, typical day. I mean, I'll just share like a day in the office. Like, people will tell you, I have pain, and it's interesting because a lot of times I never treat the area they tell me it's painful, and then they'll ask me, why, how come the pain disappeared but you didn't touch that area, and it's always a teaching for me, because it's always like, I don't practice. I'm not a pain-based clinic, and because, to be honest, to be a pain-based care clinic means that basically there's cheaper options. There's you can take Tylenol, you can take all this thing, then you don't have to go to chiropractic school. Like, you don't have to be in like so much student debt to learn. That's cheaper. But what we do is so unique, because we basically wake up every day, and what we do is, it's not to look for what's wrong, but looking what's right, and what is causing the person to interfere with their system so that it cannot function at its optimal potential. And in that process, it's not that we fix them, but we basically give their body more resources and break down those defenses in their system so that their body can thrive. And then in that process, the headaches go off, their digestion gets better, their, what the world call all the symptoms, it just disappears.
Dude, I love
we
that. I'm
don't.
gonna start using that. If you're just looking for pain relief, there's a lot cheaper options out there. I'm in it for the optimal function. I love that, actually. I'm gonna start.
Right, and because I mean, there are a lot of great things out there, and it just saddens me to see more and more chiropractors not doing what they do, not adjusting, doing all, like, there are a lot of great things. Like, physical therapy is great. There are times for physical therapy, but like, chiropractors should be adjusting, should be releasing the human potential that is within all of us, giving back. And basically, we're not pain relievers, but we help to take and give people the chance to take their lives back.
Right.
Okay, this is the difference. We want to give people their lives back. We don't want to just help people to get rid of their pain, because because that's not what we want to do.
We empower on perspective.
Yep. And I have seen, because it's true. Like, I've seen, it's crazy, but I've seen a woman who went to a chiropractor that I think didn't really do much adjusting for like 72 visits. No result. She came to me for like 12 visits, and then she wrote me a testimony, and she said her hypertension was gone. And then she was like, it's strange. I didn't even know. I thought chiropractic only can help neck pain and back pain. But then my dear mentor, Dr. Peter Goldman, will always tell you, don't put limitations. The possibilities, it's endless. It's only there's only a limit if you use the pain model.
Mm.
And you give people their lives back. You hear, that they now they can eat a full meal again. Now they can have the energy to basically be happy, the energy to carry their grandkids.
Yeah.
And these are not just the neck pain, back pain, and things like that. It's hard to measure.
Yeah. One thing the reason that I actually got into chiropractic has always motivated me towards the non-pain based model, because when I first got adjusted, I was not in pain. I was not seeking a chiropractor to take care of something for me. It was just me shadowing a chiropractor, and then he was like, "Hey, do you want to get adjusted?" And I was like, "Sure," like just to try it out. And the first adjustment, after the first adjustment, I was super, super sore the next day. Just like, well, I mean, we've all been there. I felt like I got hit by a bus, but I wasn't like mad at the chiropractor or anything like that. And then the second time I got adjusted, probably like 2 days later or something, I just remember being like, my back felt so powerful, or my muscles and my function. I just felt like something was different. And it wasn't a relief of pain. It was that optimal function where there was the release, there was the life force fully functioning, and I could feel that. So for me, I've always felt that has embodied chiropractic to me, because I go back to when I was like 18, and I was just a new person, not because I knew that I needed anything, but because of the relief or the release of that innate.
There's some nudges
Right.
going on there from internal telling you, hey,
Yep,
that innate was
Yep.
kind of pushing you towards getting adjusted, right?
100%. It definitely was.
Nick, what was can you tell us about your first experience getting adjusted?
So I think my first adjustment I got adjusted, I think, was about 15 years ago. So when I first experienced chiropractic. And so what happened to me was, growing up, I was, for some reason, I have no idea, I was always ill. So I had like I get a lot of fevers, I get a lot of diarrheas, nausea, vomiting. I have no idea what's going on. And so when the first thing, of course, parents brought me to see a lot of like Western doctors. And as I ate more of this medicine, I just feel more ill. And then later on, I was introduced by my brother and my father to a chiropractor, and and it changed my life. I mean, of course, I did other kind of natural stuff as well. I'm just going to stick to chiropractic here for this matter of this podcast.
Yep.
And so 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 as I get adjusted, I feel my whole body change, and I never ever need to eat like medicine again. Although I do get here and there, I get aches and pains, of course, because I'm just human, but I never really suffer from any more like kind of severe. Of course, after a series of adjustments, you know, I never really got really that ill anymore, and I think it's powerful.
It is. I was
And
go ahead.
yeah, so from that teenager that always got ill, to somebody that and I to make me want to do this, because like I said, if I told myself, I said, if I'm going to so much depth to learn chiropractic, And if it's just for pain and not to get my life back, why would I spend that kind of money? I would just, I could just stick to the Tylenol as a cheaper option.
Mm.
So pain is a very subjective thing, but the moment something can give you your life back, that's priceless.
100%. I, thinking back to my first adjustment, I think I've told you both my story a little bit, but so when I was in high school, I had a horrible experience where I ended up hurting my low back really, really bad, and then ended up having just like horrible nerve leg pain. Um, that I went and saw a couple chiropractors around my area, and they, to everybody's credit, they wanted to help. I did not receive a hands-on adjustment though, and I think that truly was a missed opportunity for me. But that's my path. So I ended up having this back pain for probably like 2 years, and I eventually adapted to my pain levels, and I went on to go on to college, played college sports, and near the end of my college career, when I was really trying to figure out, like, okay, so I have this, I'm getting this degree, but like, what do I want to do? And I got nudged towards this chiropractor in town at undergrad. I'm like, oh, I've seen one before, but like, it was okay. I mean, I guess I can go back and check them out because with my major, I knew I wanted to help people. My family's background, a bunch of nurses, so I knew I wasn't going to be a nurse, but I knew that like in my head, I wanted to help people. And I went and visited him and connected with him, and he was really, really helpful. And I ended up joining the pre-chiropractic club, and through them, I had to do an internship. So I was like, oh, well, I met this chiropractor. I could intern with him. So through interning with him, I realized I figured out that he's much different than other traditional chiropractors, where he only adjusts one bone, upper cervical doc. And when I received my first adjustment, it was like it was almost like a big bang went off, like for my eyes, were like um, almost like I was seeing stars, but like not in like a bad way. It was just like if you've ever seen like in the movies when like one of those, a big explosion goes off, and it's like the ears were like, it's just like you almost can't, like, it's not like you couldn't hear anything, but it's almost like a flashbang, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I was just like, whoa. And I've had years of horrible allergies. Like I said, I had that horrible back pain, and the principles behind what he was doing really, just like, I've never heard anything like it, where I've never been empowered to the point where understanding that like the body, the power that made the body heals the body. And going through the process of like having resting periods after getting adjustments, and oh man, it was just such a about, I can't even put a price tag on my education level through Dr. Kyle Troyer. Um, really changed my world. And not only did my back pain get so much better after just one adjustment, but had these seasonal allergies that just really started to take a turn for the better. And that was just like such an amazing lesson for me, that you don't need to adjust the area of where the pain's coming from, right, for the body to heal.
Body doesn't need any help, just no interference.
Yeah. So I love hearing the stories about where people first got their starts, because everybody's is different. And
Yeah.
and if you ever are privileged enough to get the principled chiropractic care, like it's always a beautiful story to hear.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't remember one of the mentors that I had told me that sometimes you can adjust and do the thing that you just adjust the area, may not be the area of pain, but then just to keep the person calm on the table, just go touch his area of pain, just to make sure that he or she his mind is settled and won't ask you wondering, actually, I complain pain here. Oh yeah, at least doc touch that area a little bit, and so that
To ease their mind, right?
I can't remember who told me that. So, yeah, yeah, to just go, just just, if it's pain here, you just put your hand here a little bit, and then at least then they were like, oh yeah, he did something to that area.
But when you got that intention too, like we talked about before, all the principles is the only thing that matters.
It
Even if
is.
even if that touch is the thing that brings awareness to the area, and then you adjust, and the nate's freely flowing, that's all they need.
Mm-hmm.
What's we'd like to talk about some like motivation or inspiration that you have either had in the past or are currently going through. I want to hear though what's it been like currently as a new business owner, as a new doc. What has been a big source of inspiration for you to get through those hard days? Because Nash and I, we talk about the hard days. There's all the time the certain patient aspects that go through, and there are those difficult days. So what's been like your biggest or even most consistent source of inspiration that you can kind of point to for other listeners too, to be able
Yeah.
to, experience what you've been going through?
So I mean, we all been through so much, and we know we're getting there. It's too. I always tell myself, no matter what happens, we already did so much. It's too, you know, we have to be strong. Don't, not to be throwing the towel. And we have so much to lose. And I mean, always there's that kind of thoughts, going around your head. Then you know that there's so much you can offer the whole world with your services, and it's just that we just need a little bit. Sometimes you just need a little bit more time. People just need to know you. People need to know who you are, and once somebody just come, we know that. Yeah, we know that our time will come. It's just when, but and and I think that you just keep telling yourself that, and just imagine. I always do this. I imagine it in my head, like the reality that I want to create, like
Mm.
how actually I imagine how patients are already outside my door waiting for me.
Yeah,
That
that's
visioning
awesome.
process, that
Yeah,
that's something I'm really trying. I mean, that's awesome that you've been doing that, Nick. What
and I said, we gave. I mean, we gave a lot of our life to do this, and 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 we know that we can. There's so much gifts we can share with this world, with love and all our intentions. And so when the days get hard, I just keep reminding myself that, and of course, like like for me is, my family did a lot for me to be able to travel around across the world to study this, even morally, financially, and everything. And so, they sacrifice a lot for me. So I do want to give them a good life as well.
How was that coming back to Singapore? Sorry, Nash, I knew you were gonna ask
oh
something.
nope, keep going.
And being able to serve your family up um, after not seeing them for a long time, I'm sure, since you had been gone. What was that kind of like?
Yeah, it was great because I mean, I went home every year
Oh, okay.
for 2 weeks, and then so it's not that bad. We totally and then my family, we are always close from young.
Yeah.
We're very, very close. Close with my friends as well. So it wasn't that bad to transition. Of course, I mean, going back to Singapore, I mean, it's nice because you no longer, you miss so many friends' weddings, you miss so many friends, so many events, you miss so many things, and you miss. I even miss. I miss my cousin's wedding and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And and but at the end of the day, I told myself it's worth it.
Yeah,
for sure.
'Cause-
that sacrifice for the greater good. That's it's a pretty common theme. I feel like for not just chiropractors, but people who really trying to want to make changes.
Mm.
Because
Yep, and I think slowly people will change. Like you know, uh, I've been hearing. in the past, I hear a lot of people, they say, oh yeah, seeing a chiropractor is expensive and all this kind of stuff. But, now these days, I'm hearing less of that as one right now, because I think more and more people are benefiting from the services, which is
Right.
really, really priceless.
Yeah.
And
Dividends cheap. Results. What is it? Results large.
good, not so cheap things are not good, and good things are not cheap.
No, not that one. But that's true.
Is it the
It's right above the hallway above the student union, right before you go down the stairs.
something not returns are premium, but
Dividends cheap, premium. This is horrible. Hold on, I got.
I don't think I took a picture of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed that one. I do want to.
So, Nick, one thing that I always thought was super cool, because as a man with Asian heritage, I always like when where we had our classroom with Dr. Vanetta, and you know how they have like kind of like the Hall of Fame up there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever read about Shigetaro Morikubo? He's the first Asian American first Asian American chiropractor.
No, I haven't.
So he was born in Japan, and he graduated with a doctorate from the Tokyo Academy of Science and immigrated to the United States to continue education, becoming a citizen. And then he became an advanced pathology student, or he was an advanced pathology student. And through hearing about the results of chiropractic, and more so with BJ Palmer, he actually enrolled as a student at Palmer in 1906. So just about 11 years after. So I think that was pretty amazing. So in 11 short years, in a time where it's very exclusive, I feel like society in general, that like they just weren't, in general, open to allowing a lot of people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different ethnicities into different areas. So I thought that was really cool. Gates, did we talk about this before?
You had touched on it, but I didn't know some of his history and past.
See, I also understand what through my when I heard from the historian, that how D.D. Palmer. So basically, when he opened the school, there was a couple of group of like there was Japanese group, there was a Chinese group of I think they practiced Japanese medicine and acupuncture. And so when they came to the United States, they weren't, those kind of things were like a little bit like not really well known. So they needed an avenue to practice. So they had to become a chiropractor. And so they had a pack, and it's like I think Didi learned what they had to learn from acupuncture and also the Japanese medicine, and then at the same time they learned chiropractic from D.D. Palmer, and so that's very interesting, I thought.
Yeah. Did you? I know you spent a lot of time looking at history and going through the history of Palmer. What would you say was the most surprising thing that you found when you were working with some of the historians at Palmer?
I mean, what is very, very surprising was like I think that our profession's really, really unique because BJ Palmer was really like the man, and I think he should be a Nobel Peace Prize winner, for all his feat he has done, and having so many U.S. presidents work for him. And I think if he would have lived for a few more years, I personally feel that he will be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize because the vibration he's changing the whole world is just amazing.
Yeah,
that's pretty incredible. Yeah.
And that's and that's something that I thought was interesting, like how this man could get so many young U.S. president, when they were younger to work for him. That's not easy, and he was like the biggest radio station back here. Like that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing with people who change the world. They're never satisfied, and they're never gonna like water themselves down for anybody. And that was one of the best things that I always love about learning more and more about BJ, because there's just so much about the legend of BJ Palmer that you can just never learn enough.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
he was always traveling the world. I mean, beyond that, he was uninhibited and with being authentic with what his purpose was while he was here.
Right.
right.
Like,
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, he knew what he wanted and everything, and he knew the power of the adjustment. And so, I mean, I would like to share another thing. You know, when I came back, you know, I heard a lot of people because there was something happening in the industry in chiropractic in Singapore. Because a lot of people were like saying that, you know, how they went to this chiropractor and they got scared because they didn't do adjusting. They did all bunch of things, and then after that, you know, they tried. Then they got like a bunch of salespeople to force them into care, and then, you know, word got around, and it gave like chiropractic a really bad name. And so when I came back, I told myself I should educate. I should never hard sell, because
yeah,
that's because you know, you can sell them a care plan, and once they finish it, you know, those people is never going to come back. But if you educate, they're gonna, what you want is lifelong patience.
yeah, that's so true.
And that's something I remind myself every day, you know, to be, although to balance between a business owner and to be a doctor as well, and
Right.
to you know, to be ethical in everything I do, you know, putting the patient's interest at first, and then the money will come. It's not putting the money first and then the patient second. That's you know, at some point it's going to stop your whole purpose of why you do what you do.
Yeah. There's this. I've been slowly going through Fight to Climb, um, and there's this story where BJ was talking about how when the school was basically first starting out or starting to gain a little bit more traction, and he was asked to speak. I'm pretty sure it was in Seattle, and he talks about how they had basically no money, um, but they took this train to get to Seattle, and by the end of the train ride, like they were like broke, like they had no money at all. Um, and he's talking about how they had packed like food, but it went bad and like different things, and just the journey that he went to, literally the fight to climb that he went to. And for him, it was never about the money, because he knew he had this revolutionary um, principles, and also followed up with his care to be able to get sick people well. And so he shares about how he went to this seminar and didn't really make that much money either. But then like 30, 40 years later, he comes back, and he's just kind of like going through the process in his entire mind, and how when he came back, it's completely different. Like he has a lot more money now, but his premise was still the same. His premise was still to get sick people well. And I think that's one thing that I love about, you know, all of Palmer's story, is that you look at everything he's done, the influence he's had, whether it's not even just purely chiropractic, but radio, TV, all this kind of stuff. He was truly out to make the world a better place as a whole. But then you see also his influence. Like I remember the first time when I was reading Think and Grow Rich, and it talks about BJ Palmer in there, and I was like, dude, it's incredible the amount of influence he had because of his unshakable purpose. And it wasn't because he was after it for the money or after it for the hard sell. He was after, okay, how much results can I actually get? And is it based around these principles? And if it's not, then I don't want to have anything to do with it. You know, so I think that's something that is inspiring to see, because you can go out and be salesy and maybe you get certain people, but when you become really influential is when you have that principle, you have that premise of belief to help people get well.
Yes.
Money comes. That's
Yeah,
not
and
any of our main factors. That's not why we got into school.
Yeah, and something it taught me, and so you just focus on the patient, and then after that, I had a conversation with my patients, and she's like, "Look, I know you got to pay rent, I know you got to do this, but you do such a great job for me,
Mm.
and I want to make you successful because if I don't make you successful, you're gonna close." So she told me, "I'm gonna make you successful," and I was like, I never, it's really interesting, once you touch people's life, you know, even if you don't want to charge them much, people want to pay you money. They really like, I want to pay you, like, because they say the more successful you are, you'll never close. So I want to help you do that,
That's awesome.
and that's something that we're never taught in school as well.
Yep.
You touched on it earlier, but there are no rules to some extent once you graduate, and it's a bit of a almost like it's almost not quite scary, but it's like holy cow, like the amount of structure that you're so used to going from undergrad to graduate school. I mean, the structure is usually there, right? And then once you're done, at least in our positions, all three of us are kind of operating on this, in our own practices, to where you can do what you want, and it's, I mean, it's amazing. I love it. There's some aspect of it where it's not quite like disorienting, but to some extent, you really almost got to grounding myself is such an essential part about what I'm able to bring in consistency to every person that comes into our practice.
Right, and accountability is very important, especially now you're out. You're the boss, and you decide, but how disciplined you are, because to keep you sharpened with your skills, because at the end of the day, we want to keep our knife sharp.
Yep.
So that's very, very important. And like you want to deliver the best adjustment on the first person on the table and the last person on the table, not because you don't want to be like known as the person who give the worst adjustment at the end.
Yeah.
Because the person in the beginning and the end is giving you the same amount of attention, the time, the money, and everything, and and you want to make sure you give them the same value.
Yeah, man. That's one thing that I know all of us have understood the importance of is training, and not just training, but like we have to be like you said, we got to be able to be just as good for our first patient and our last person that comes into our practice, and warming up and just being sharp before we get started is an essential process for us too. And learning that isn't something that's traditionally always taught in the traditional curriculum at school, right? It's something that we've had passed on to us from people who truly embody the art of chiropractic.
Right.
What do you do to get ready for your day?
What do I do to get? I speed a board, man.
Okay.
Yep.
Good old speeder board.
Yeah, I have a different kind of speeder board, which one has can put tension on it as well.
Okay. And for anybody out there, if you're worried about not having a speeder board wherever you're practicing, or um, use the drop table or use the drop pieces on tables, right?
And another thing is to also just clear your mind.
Hmm.
You know, you don't want to put your personal intentions on the patient, like whatever bad day you're having or anything. That things are going on. You just gotta, tell yourself you don't want to show it to the person on the table, because that's you just got basically, yeah, just want to be as pure as you can, and and yeah, it's really powerful. At the end of the day, it's all, you want to live that healing principles.
Yeah. Nick, I
Mm.
know you're a part of the Chiropractic Association in Singapore. You're the
Right.
treasurer, correct? How did you come in contact, and how did you get to be involved with that position?
So, I mean, I've been a chiropractic patient for like 15 years myself. So over the years, I met many chiropractors, and was even before I went to school, I was quite passionate about it. So, a lot of people were wanting that, and then I know some of the people in the association, and then I know they wanted more of a younger voice, because to have make a change, because currently chiropractic is not regulated in Singapore. It's all self-regulation, um, and that's unfortunate. And that's why the association was founded in 1988. By the lady who brought chiropractic from America in 1970s, and so yeah, so I was asked to be part of the whole thing, and because people were very impressed that I could start a practice, right? Like, because most people who graduate will be working for somebody right here, you know, and because of that, I was asked, and then kind of like the treasurer position was open, so
That's awesome.
so I was asked. So, I mean, it's really good, because right about the association is to practice ethically, because now what we're having here is a lot of practices are putting out very, very cheap adjustments, and then giving the public a different view about the value of the adjustment, and that's something, because of this cheap adjustments that people are putting out. People don't think my services are valuable, but then when I realized that, that's why I'm going to attract the people that don't just see the money, but they see the value that you give, because I know the adjustment that I provide to people is, it's not that 30-second adjustment, that some practices do. My adjustments, uh, has is included. I give people ample time to lie on the table as well. It's long. You have a personal touch. You spend time with them. It's not just 30 seconds and next 30 seconds and next. That's not the way. And I realize in our culture, people really don't like that. And it's gone to a point where, when I tell people, when I tell people I'm a chiropractor, they don't ask me how much. They don't ask me what. They ask me, how long is your adjustment?
How much time, right?
And because you see, I know people who sign huge packages with some of these companies, and literally after that, they went for like 72 visits and received no relief, and then they lost hope with chiropractic, and then they tell their friends, they tell their family that chiropractic doesn't work. And so it does come back to all of us. And I realized that, I'm seeing more and more, especially the new graduates that come out of school, they don't even believe in the adjustment, even right here in Singapore. They and that's what I'm. And when I first opened, people were like, oh, I didn't know that chiropractors do manual adjustments. I'm like, oh, I was like, yeah, because I've been to a lot, and none of them adjust. They all use a bunch of machines, and and so the fact that I adjust, and that that allowed me a lot more people come and visit me, and I think that's my differentiating factor. And it's not just adjusting, but I adjust a lot of it using the zone technique. So I have people that see me for stomach issues, for migraines, for, of course, the neck pain, back pain, depression, for all this like crazy stuff that people don't believe. I have, and slowly word got around. I currently have a surgeon, a general practitioner, and a dentist that sees me, because they heard that I do this weird thing, You know, and I don't preach pain. You know, I tell people, you know, I hear your pain, but that's not what I'm interested about. I'm interested about what is going to heal you.
Yeah,
Right.
that power. That's just something that, I mean, people inherently know it, but they just like never hear it from anybody else. That
You know,
it's not the cast
and
that heals your broken leg. It's not.
I
It's
mean,
not.
there was, I think one of my weird encounter in practice, maybe I should share, is, you know, I had a patient, and so she had like, I think she has issue with her husband. You know, always have like, you know, there's a lot of aggression in the relationship, and like, you know, how she couldn't sleep, and there was a lot of tension. And so when she came to see me, she was referred to me by a doctor, by the way, a medical doctor, and so she saw me, and then later on, uh, the funny thing about it was the doctor who was actually, no, actually was another doctor, because she sees a bunch of doctors. So she saw this specialist, and then the specialist was like, "What? You're telling me a chiropractor can help you?" And then this doctor was like, was call me up, and like, he was pissed because he literally was like, "What? I'm a professor, you know, in the university, and
Yep.
I'm this, and I couldn't help the person."
But you
And
did.
then you're telling me a chiropractor can help me? What?
And
Dumbfounded.
I don't know. Some of it is like an ego thing. Where, I mean, to be quite honest, we're not even the ones helping. They're helping themselves, right? You know.
Right.
Right. I said I'm not even doing anything. I'm just literally putting in the force and let the body do what it needs to do. You know,
Yep.
just applying the healing principles. But of course, people don't get that.
Yeah.
You know, and 90 over percent of the people will think you're crazy for saying that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're just the facilitator of healing. You're not even the healer.
Yeah, we're just mechanical, chemical, electrical bodies, right? We don't have any other mind. We don't have any mind
Right.
that goes with that, or any spirit that envelops that, right?
And
We're just
and and honestly, I just apply all the healing principles taught by Dr. Peter Goleman on practice, and I see really the magic and miracles that our forefathers once talked about. You know, it's not about neck pain, it's not about back pain. It's really, you really see magic and miracles, and
Awesome.
and you know,
like
that's,
miracles, man.
it's like, yeah, zone technique, game changer.
Game changer, bro.
You know, and the interesting about zone technique is they don't even 99% of the time they don't take x-rays.
How
It's,
can other students or listeners learn that? Like, what's the route to go with that?
well, you know, you can learn, obviously if you're a student, you're gonna get a discount. You just go to, I think, www.zonetechnique.com, and you know, I learned it. You know, I was very skeptical at the first time. In fact, after I signed up, I was like, because you know, I spent a bunch of money, and then I told Dr. Peter, I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. And then the funny thing is, he actually, I think he gave me my money back, because I told him I don't know if I want to do this. And
Yeah.
then after that, I re-signed again, because I tried it and it worked.
Nice, dude.
Follow that internal wisdom, and also that shirt, the back of that shirt. I think it was backwards for you guys. So
No, we
all
could
the
read
drugs
it.
in the world cannot
That's
adjust the
great.
seated vertebra.
You know, and I mean, I know, you know, I hope this doesn't, you know, offend anyone from different techniques or anything.
Be offensive, Nick. Be offensive.
So it's just I've studied a lot of different techniques, and I just found that it's very really really interesting how this technique works.
And you know what's beautiful about that, dude, is the beautiful part about like there being so many techniques is really being able to find what resonates with you and really lets you have full intention and purpose, like in belief into what you're doing, right? I think that's truly what gets people results, but there's obviously some that are more powerful than others. But to some extent, your convictions are really what can be the biggest change for somebody because that power that comes from within, if that's matched with conviction of somebody that's helping you guide you on that path, I think that's what's one of the most beautiful things about chiropractic. From upper cervical docs to zone technique docs to anybody that just really wants to, to people who really are tonal based or from network to BGI. There's so many beautiful techniques out there that are really empowering and honoring to the human body. So I love that.
And what resonates with other patients too is,
yep.
Every innate is different, right?
Yeah.
It just wants to be expressed.
Definitely. And I guess, you just gotta keep trusting the process. Like I said, we're always in that path. Who knows? Maybe years later, I may not be talking zone technique. Maybe I'll be talking something else because my path changed as well. My life, my journey changed. But right now where I am, this is the truth for me.
I love it. And truth, health, love, like those are the three main things that I've really started to try to define as who I am and what I'm about and my purpose. And when you have those, life's simple, at least that's simple for me.
And at the end of the day, to me, chiropractic, we talked about how simple it is. We don't have to worry about what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow. We're just going to be right now when the patient's on the table. That's all we care about. It's as simple as that. It's really whatever, we just need to clear our mind, whatever's going on, and just focus on the now and be the now.
I love it. So with some, do you have any, Gates, do you have any closing remarks or anything for Dr. Nick before we wrap up today?
Just the correct quote. Chiropractic is health insurance. Premium small, dividends large.
I knew there's premiums were in there.
Yeah. I think that, and then really one of my big takeaways too that I see consistently with every chiropractor we talk to since coming out of school, mostly within our class, that visualization is so key. Whether you're a chiropractor or not, visualization needs to be part of maybe like a daily routine. I know that I still need to get better at it, but I love when Sigafus was talking about, he describes it as like, you imagine their face, you imagine their hair color, hair type, what's it feel like, what's it smell like, and all these different things. And I think we touched on this before, is like, I don't even really care, and I tell Chantel this all the time, I don't even really care if I don't make a lot of money or that the business doesn't make a lot of money. I just want to be busy. Like, I just want to see people and help people get well. And that's what I visualize. Like, I just visualize like people, like Nick said, lining up outside my door to get care, to receive a proper and full adjustment. And that's the biggest motivator for me. And premium small, dividends large.
Yep. Create that culture of inclusion, not exclusion.
Yep.
Community based.
Right. End of the day, it's a whole thing, and of course, everybody needs to make a living as well. So
Yeah, and I mean, we invested not just our own money but time. So we invested a lot of time into this. So um, obviously, we're here to serve, and
Yep.
we deserve to be fairly compensated for when we're serving people. But it's all done from a place of love. And when people
Right.
understand that we're not doing it to manipulate them, but we're truly here to help and serve, people understand.
Yep. And if anyone is listening, like I want to tell them that chiropractors and chiropractic are not expensive.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nick, and taking time out of your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
Do you have any?
Anytime.
Yeah, no, and can't wait to have you back in the States so we can meet up. I know we've got a lot of things coming down the pipe, especially between a lot of people going on here. We'll hopefully getting our Good Fighters retreat going. So
yeah, I mean, I would love to. It's just the borders are closed.
Yeah,
that's true. Yes,
but we just got to keep that cascade rolling. Embody your authenticity. Don't feel like you gotta adhere to stupid rules just because they're rules. To some extent, breaking the rules that's part of our history too. So at least that's what I'm trying to do out here. So if you guys don't hear from me if I disappear for a little bit, I might have broke one too many rules or something. I don't know, but thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate you more than you know.
No problem. Thank you, Nash. Thank you, Gates.
Until next time, how can people get in touch with you on social media if they want to reach out to you, Nick?
So, I mean, so you can. Okay, I'm going to give you my website, www.drchiro.com.sg, and if you want to reach me on like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all, and that is at Dr. Chiro Clinic, DrChiro CRINIC, and if you can look me up at Clubhouse at Dr. Chiro.
Beautiful.
So
Clubhouse.
Beautiful. Well, Nick, thank you so much for the third time, brother. We appreciate you. And until next time, this is the Good Fighters podcast, and thank you all for listening.
Choose your destiny. Raiden wins. Flawless.